Guys, this is my dog Snob. He got sprayed by a skunk. We gave him like 6 baths and he still stinks. So now we've been calling him Skunk and Spice. He wants to get down. Okay, there go. Guys, my karate class is going so good. There's a kid named Scotty, and he's a red belt. Yeah, and he broke a board with his foot. He did. It's true. And you know what? I'm gonna be like Chuck Norris. What? Oh, but I'm a girl, so I would be Chick Norris. Yeah. Chick Norris, goody girl. Yeah. Did you know that Chuck Norris makes onions cry? It's true. Oh, I gotta keep it short, but help me get my monkey and like and subscribe, okay? Okay, here's my mom.
Hi everybody, how you doing today? My name's Vicki King, and welcome to King Gong Crazy. Today we're going to look at people who had unexplained, strange lives. This should be pretty good. Let's go.
In 1846, a French school in Latvia hired 32-year-old Emily Sagy. Emily was a kind and dedicated teacher, but the headmaster had a reservation about her. She had been fired from 18 different schools, and soon they realized why. While Emily was teaching a classroom full of students, she turned to write on the chalkboard. The students noticed her slow down and her color drain. A second Emily materialized in front of the students. It stood there silently and mimicked her movements. The students and faculty saw Emily's doppelganger throughout the school, but Emily herself never seemed to notice. A sewing class of 42 students saw Emily picking flowers in the courtyard through the windows of their classroom.
She had a doppelganger. Gosh, wouldn't it be great to find out that you had a doppelganger? They say that we have, 5 in the world? I wonder if anybody out there looks like me. Just curious.
Emily's movement slowed and she got pale. A second Emily appeared in front of the classroom. She didn't speak or react to the students at all. One of the girls got up to try and touch the double. She stretched out her hand and it passed through the figure. She said it felt like cobwebs. Parents began to hear about the strange events and express their concerns to the headmaster. And Emily was fired from her 19th job.
I wonder, you hear a lot about twins. I wonder if maybe her mother at one time was pregnant with twins. And maybe the twin would, if it were dead, grow up with her and never leave her side. I don't know. That's weird. Pretty cool, though. That's cool.
Person to ever live. Walter Summerford was a major in the British Army during World War I. But in 1918, when Walter was riding a horse in Belgium, lightning struck him, paralyzing him from the waist down. His injuries caused him to leave the army and move to Vancouver, where he recovered and was able to walk again, but this is where things get crazy. 6 years later, when Walter was fishing in a local river, lightning struck him again, leaving him paralyzed once more. After the second strike, he did recover and was able to use his legs again, but in 1930, he was struck by lightning a third time, leaving him paralyzed from head to toe. Although he did survive the third strike, his injuries were too great and a couple years later he passed away. But the story doesn't end here, because a few years after Walter's passing, his gravestone was struck and shattered by lightning.
That poor man. There for a couple of years, everything I would touch, I would get shocked, but not like this. Wow, can you imagine being struck by lightning over and over and over, and even after you're dead? That's bizarre. I wonder if he did something in a past life. Who knows?
Okay, so this story truly made me go, what the fuck? It's called the Rain Man story, and it's been corroborated by at least 4 police officers and many more witnesses who saw all this happen. This story revolves around this guy, Donald Decker. So in 1983, when Donnie was just 21 years old, he was serving time in prison for theft. During that time, he received news that his grandfather had passed away. He wasn't really sad about this because he said that his grandfather had been extremely abusive towards him. So the prison gave him special permission to leave the prison in order to attend the funeral for that weekend. However, when he got to the funeral, he became quite upset at how much sympathy and how much people were putting his grandfather in a positive light. He didn't think it was fair that everyone spoke so.
We all do that when someone dies. It's just respect. We don't tear them down. You know, even if they were horrible people, we still have or try to say nice things about them. So
Highly of him considering how much abuse he had suffered at his hands. He was so upset that he left the funeral and went to stay the night with a few friends of his. He was in the bathroom at his friend's house when something odd happened. He said that the entire energy in the bathroom shifted and it almost felt like the air had escaped the room. Then it felt like the room was freezing, and he turns to look to the left and he sees an apparition of an old man with a crown with an evil grin that was laughing at him. Then this apparition attacked him and he had 3 scratch marks on his arm. He really tries to brush this entire thing off and collects himself in the bathroom. He then goes downstairs and pretends that nothing happened, but then his friend notices the scratches on his arm and tells them what happened, and it kind of freaks everyone out, but they decide to move past it. Then they're all hanging out in the living room when the entire room goes cold, and then they see water running down the walls. His friends thought it must have been a plumbing problem, so they called the landlord, and the landlord comes over and checks and confirms that this is not a plumbing issue. When they return to the living room and talk to Don, they see him sitting on a chair completely unresponsive, almost as if he were in a trance. Then surrounding Don, they started to see water form and literally float up towards the ceiling. Everyone was terrified, so they called 911, not knowing what else to do.
that would be bizarre.
Police officers arrived and witnessed the following. Random raindrops started forming in the middle of the room and shooting off into other parts of the house. Water started coming up from the floorboards and raindrops were flowing horizontally. Police officers instructed Don and one of his friends to go to the next door restaurant while they investigated the house. While he was at the restaurant, the rain followed him inside the restaurant. At this point, everyone was convinced that he was possessed. He returned back to his friend's house. Things got worse. There was pots and pans being thrown around, and Don was even said to have levitated. That same weekend, they were able to convince a priest to give him an exorcism. It had initially worked, and
I think I would call a priest too. That's pretty bizarre.
then Don was sent back to prison. However, the activity followed him back to his cell. His cellmate was terrified and said that it smelled like death, and there was rain inside the cell as well. Prison then called their priest to perform an exorcism, and it apparently worked. That was the last time Don experienced those events. But
That's crazy.
to this day, he believes it was his evil grandfather coming back from the dead to torment him one more time.
Do you believe in that? Do you believe in curses that when someone dies, they can seek some kind of revenge on you? I can't imagine treating grandkids like that, though. That's bizarre. I have no explanation for this. Little girl makes paintings of Jesus in heaven.
A self-taught artist who says her inspiration comes from above. Paintings that are spiritual, emotional, and created by a 12-year-old prodigy.
Self-taught. Wow, beautiful.
This painting is called Father Forgive Them. I've completed this painting at the age of 9.
Her name is Aki Anna. She picked up the brush when she was just 6 years old, but the visions, what she calls inspiration from God, started when she was just 4.
The first time when she came to me, I knew it was real to her what she was saying, in the visions of God and things she had seen, places that she has visited.
She began to describe to her mother in great detail her visits to heaven.
All the colors were out of this world. There are hundreds of millions of more colors that we don't know
This is absolutely fascinating.
yet. And the flowers were crystal clear.
Her mother, remarkably, was an atheist. The concept of God never discussed in their home.
So how did... You know what? If God wants to reach somebody, I think he's going to reach somebody. I don't think an atheist could stand in his way. That's all I'm going to say about that.
man traveled through time and saved the world. On November 2nd, the year 2000, a user began posting on the Time Travel Institute forums who would later identify himself as John Teeter. Teeter claimed to be a soldier sent back in time from the year 2036 to 1975 to retrieve parts for an IBM 5100 computer system, as this was essential to debug various legacy computer systems that ran the time travel technology needed for these missions. Communicating with Art Bell of Coast to Coast AM, Teeter issued stern warnings and predictions, like an impending world war. He would go on to say that something catastrophic occurs in the distant future as time travel past the year 2564 hit a brick wall, and that extraterrestrials may be time travelers from a further timeline with more advanced technology. Teeter later vanished without a trace. Did John Teeter prevent an impending war on our timeline, or was it all a hoax? Follow this channel for more strange stories.
I don't know. There are a lot of people out there that claim to be time travelers. I'm not so sure about this one. Interesting, but I don't know.
There is amazing evidence that Tibetan monks can really use sound to levitate stones and other objects.
That makes sense.
Watch the short video at the end of this post to see how scientists demonstrate how this is done. This is done by a sound acoustic levitation technique. Using multiple sonic harmonic sound techniques and instruments placed certain degrees from the objects, they can levitate them. Here is a short video to show how this is done. There is amazing.
What would that be like? If you could just levitate. That would freak people out. I would love that. I would love that. Pretty cool. Devil toaster. This lady's haunted toaster is the best thing on the internet.
We heard, "I am the devil."
What kind of voice did the devil have?
A very low voice, I'd say, sounded like Eli Wallach.
Have you saved any of this satanic toast?
Yes, I did save it because I wanted to be sure that somebody else would see it. Now this one, can you see that, Richard? Satan lives.
She could have carved that before she put it in there, or after it came out. You know, I don't know.
Just terrible.
Is the toaster still possessed?
We still have trouble off and on with it, yes.
Oh, she's going to show us. Okay.
Oh, see, now it's... It seems to be aware. Oh!
Why have you kept this toaster?
That's funny.
Well, Richard, you know, when all is said and done, it makes good toast.
It makes good toast. Okay, lady. That would be out the door. That's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching my videos. Come back again. Give me a like and subscribe, okay? I could really, really, really use it. See you later, guys. Bye.
Chase.